Hello, in this regex quickie we are going to speak about the regex flavors used in the R language. There are several regex flavors used in the R language depending on the functions and arguments you use. So, base R regex functions by default use TRE regex engine. If you use perl true argument, then these functions use the PCRE regex engine. If you use stringr or stringi functions, then you should know that you are using the ICU regex engine flavor. In gsubfn package, the default regex engine is TCL that you can override with a perl equals true argument. If you don't know what regex flavor is used in the function you are currently using, you can just use trial and error approach and see what regex flavor it is by just trying out various patterns until you find the working one. These regex flavors differ a lot, but ICU and PCRE regex flavors are somewhat similar. TRE is POSIX based and is very specific and contains a lot of bugs since it is a very old library. PCRE and ICU regex engines are more stable and more predictable. Also, if you are using PCRE, you can always test your regular expressions at regex101.com. So if you want to remove any one or more characters other than digits and white spaces from the beginning of the string, you might consider using this regular expression. However, it works in PCRE. It won't work in TRE regex engine. You will need to add perl equals true argument. Let's have a look. Here you can see that this line will result in XYZ DEF. Not XYZ space 1, 2, 3, because this pattern doesn't actually mean one or more characters other than digits and white spaces from the beginning of the string. It just means any one or more characters other than backslash, D, and S. That's why it matches up to DEF. Here, because we're using the perl equals true argument, this pattern is passed correctly and just matches up to the first space before DEF. And we have XYZ space 1, 2, 3, comma at the beginning of the resulting string. Another common issue is thinking that POSIX character classes behave the same across regex flavors. It is not so. POSIX character classes behave differently across regex engines. In PCRE, the punctuation POSIX character class matches any proper punctuation and mathematical symbols. In ICU regex flavor, this pattern only matches punctuation proper. It won't match plus. Let's have a look at an example. On this line of code, the punctuation POSIX character class matched both comma and plus, and they got removed in the final result. However, in the ICU regex flavor, we can see that it only matched a comma and the plus remained. To remove both punctuation proper and mathematical symbols with the ICU regex flavor, you need a specific regex, like this. Another common issue is the use of lookarounds. TRE regex flavor doesn't support them. PCRE and ICU regex flavors both support look-behinds and look-aheads. This regular expression matches any punctuation between two digits. Since this is a PCRE regex demo, you can see that it matches plus between 6 and 7. Let's have a look at the code. You can see that the first line here results in an invalid regular expression because TRE regex flavor doesn't support lookarounds. The second line here uses the PCRE regex engine and it works. The plus was replaced with a slash. On this line, where the ICU regex flavor is used, we also have the same output. Last but not least, let's have a look at the constrained look-behind patterns in ICU regex flavor. You can see that if we use a variable quantifier inside a look-behind, it won't be supported by the PCRE regex flavor. However, this regular expression pattern is quite valid in the ICU regex flavor. Have a look. This line will result in an error because PCRE regex engine doesn't support variable with look behind patterns. This line works fine. The plus is replaced with a slash because we matched a non-word character that appears right after 5 followed by an optional 6 character. This line won't work because we have plus in the look behind pattern. It results in a look behind pattern matches must have a bounded maximum length error. So just mind using a limiting quantifier with specified maximum limit. You may follow the links in the further links section to read more about the problems covered in this video. Thank you for watching, and if you like my video, please click like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet. Happy regexing!